meant, my God is my judge. Hananiah was the name of his friend. It meant Yahweh has acted graciously. Mishael was the name. Who is what God is? Like my God. Somebody who looks like God. Then Azariah was the name of his other friend. These four men. You know, there are other stories where they couldn't bend, they couldn't bow, and they couldn't bend because Yahweh helped them through everything. But this guy was not happy with their names. He wanted to obliterate those names, and nowadays it's little that we can hear the name Hananiah, but we will know someone is called Shadrach. Bad names. Meshach. You can never remember Mishael either. You know, when he gave these names, he wanted those guys as a sign of ownership, that I own you in, giving you names. He says, Daniel, you will be called Belteshazzar, which probably means Bel, protect the prince. And then Abednego, very funny name, Abednego. Means servant of Nabu. And those name changes were serious things because in 3 steps, the king wants to deliver a plot in his mind. He wants to end up with these guys in his own prison house to change how they think. One, he isolates them from the environment. Number 2, he indoctrinates them, as we'll see, with his curriculum, and he causes them to compromise by the plate. After isolating them from their mother nation's culture, he wanted them to be trained in Babylon's curriculum. The aim of this training was beyond academia, but it was aimed at retraining their way of thinking, their outlook of life, and to impart a godly worldview to a life without God. And so when you walked into this street, you may have found Nebuchadnezzar in classes. You may have found them in the hostels, and they are training people that the family is no longer father, mother, but there can be 2 fathers. And so homosexuality is peddled by these kings, and they mix the worldview with, for compromise. Karl Marx declared, he said, give me the poets and the musicians, and I will take the nation. I don't care who makes the laws. And it's of a truth now that they are the ones teaching the nation. But it's not just the training. My mind thought about the component of his education. Part of their training was that they would be fed from the king's table. A day of abundance of provision was to be given to them. A plate of freedom was given them. What did I say was given them? A plate of freedom. They would eat from the king's menu. Eat freely, eat as much as you want, eat whenever you want. Don't worry about where the food is coming from or what is the nature of the food. Rather, eat from the freedom plate. To eat from the king's plate meant to be nourished by his meat and his wine which he drank. And it was a privilege that many of us, I have gotten that privilege, rare privilege to understand that Madaraka Day and all those days that you see people making noise about in Nyayo Stadium is not actually the actual party. The actual party is in State House. I have gotten to be invited to State House after those national holidays. And to eat from the king's table is something I think a lot of us would not take the decision this young man is about to take. Many of us will eat and dishonor as if our homelands are lands of poverty. A classy wine would be in the dinner table, right? And all they needed was provided. It was all appointed so that the young men did not have to trouble themselves with creative hard work to make provision for themselves. The Bible says, and the king appointed them, not once in a while, but daily. Did you see that? I said you read every other color, I read white and black. The king have provided them a daily provision of, and the wine which he drank. So nourishing them 3 years, that at the end they might stand. To eat from the king's plate, to be nourished by his meat and the wine which he drank, was a serious privilege. Daniel quickly notices this privilege, this plate is a trap. And he looks at it well. He studies the ingredients. Daniel and his friends had freedom on their plate. They had lots of freedom also on their time. Because everything they needed, they didn't have to worry to go to work. No, they had freedom. Why worry about anything? They probably would be watching movies the whole day to show up and eat. But they knew that idleness is the enemy of youth and religion. Why? Because idleness abruptly lands you into an old age of poverty when you have squandered your present opportunities waiting for some funny hidden king to provide for you. It strengthens idleness. It strengthens your lower passion, your impulses. It is a privilege, therefore, of every Christian to exercise his strength even in religious matters. Not to be idle, but to gain intellectual strength, to gain sound reasoning, a calm judgment, and a vigorous brain. But let me add something else. It is your privilege also to strengthen and gain artistic originality, a calm judgment that when data is presented on TikTok, you can decipher and you can organize it to information and you can contextualize it to knowledge and you can apply it to wisdom, not accepting everything that is forwarded. But that is difficult for the one today because we're not liberally trained. In any case, we are lazily trained. A vigorous brain is the essence of academic freedom. Daniel said today, I am not going to partake of that food. It's freely given. I don't want free food. But today, young men and women are brought into the life of high living. And people complain about the cost of high living. The high cost of living. I messed it up. Let me say it correctly. People today complain about the high cost of living when the real problem is the cost of high living. Where you want to impress people with gadgets which you can't afford. Your pocket money cannot take us a minute before we count all of it. Leave us So our young people today are brought into a life of high living to impress. It easily soon masters the senses commitments of any young man. The young people here think that they have freedom for flashy gadgets, on long hours of entertainment, betting instead of sweating, while young girls have been recruited into living off the sponsor's daily provision to maintain a good life that their parents can't afford. But friends, the good life that Daniel and his friends were offered was intended by this king to win them away from the attitude and the altitude of hard work. The king intended that they learn toil isn't good. Easy is good. And so they could paint nails, but Daniel said, no, I need my nails to work in the farm. That is the reason they did it. I think you need to understand it clearly. Hard life is good life. I should be quoted. I think I'm getting older. Because wisdom coming out of my head. It will encourage them to focus on themselves, a life of enjoyment. Have you seen them walking around thinking that the only thing you need to do is to spend all the time on the container, even if there's nothing in the content? Well, when Daniel and his three friends came to the cafeteria, to the mess, they took a look at the menu and they discovered that the freedom plate had something that they didn't like. The king had appointed some crocodiles and weapons. I don't know what he did that day, but the word of God strictly forbade. They decided they would not defile themselves with that kind of food, and so they said, officer, let me teach you something here. There was a guy in chapter 3, in chapter 1 verse 3, his name was Ashpenaz. But there was many Ashpenaz. Ashpenaz. Ashpenaz was the chief of the eunuchs. Now, under Ashpenaz, there was somebody called Menza. Menza was the one they directly reported to. When there was a conflict, Daniel and his friends didn't go all the way to Ashpenaz. They say, this is local Maneno. Let's make a local arrangement here. I'm going to tell you what the local arrangement is. But that is wisdom that you will need when you leave campus and you're looking for a job. And they decide, Ashpenaz will decide, or the king will decree that everybody must work on Sabbath. You need to know that knowledge can give you the job, but wisdom will keep you there. To know how to negotiate with your immediate supervisor. That this is the arrangement. I have enjoyed this all times. I am called for weeks of prayer, and I tell my Melza now tomorrow. And the next week I won't be there. And I also negotiate with the result of my hard work. Because it is Melza who knows that this guy with anything. So if he wants to disappear, he leaves the office for me. And when he shows up, I have organized mission and I'm called. But you know that is wise, isn't it? There are some of you who will be quick to run to the dean and to make all the noise about Sabbath, and that is not wise before you consult your immediate supervisor. That was not on the script, but the issue is negotiation. You know, when God has sent you, He gives you more messages even as you deliver some more. That was not here. You know, He says, there's some pigs here you can eat, but Daniel remembers God's word strictly forbids it. So they decided they will not defile themselves with that kind of food. They said, Melza, give us something more simple. Give us a vegetarian diet and water to drink. And you know, some of you complain about, oh, my face has pimples, and you think beauty is something that comes in food and water. See if it works. Have you drunk enough? Who many imagine utakunywa za wanatosomoa? Let's read it again, verse 15. At the end of the 10 days, their countenance appeared what? Read for me. Fairer and that's a good thing. Fairer and in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Well, not everyone wants to be fatter, but some do. Some need to add a little weight, okay? I leave that, that's not to inspire. But I'm sure that everyone may want to have a fair countenance. Is that true? Anybody wants to have a fair countenance? And make no mistake about it. This issue of fairness or beauty, problem today, or handsomeness. Men think you are handsome, can I see? Okay, if you have a hand, put up your hand, you do like this, man. So you are handsome. And how many people are beautiful? You know, beauty is not something that comes in a jar you buy and apply on your face. No, friends. Beauty is radiates from within with the glory and the power of God and good character. Nobody is ugly. You make yourself ugly by a bad attitude and not showering. With this media thing of all of you must have shapes of Beyonce, so people are. And men, please check those shapes. They are not real. They have been added. Sorry, I'm off my screen. Let me you know. Yeah, but very few of us, well, everybody wants to be fair and handsome, but very few are willing to exercise freedom and discretion on the plate. The thing is, the freedom plate is one whose result is seen much faster than any other level of training, whether it's studying or anything. In 10 days, the result of good eating was already seen. Did you see that? In 10 days, the result of good eating can be felt immediately. You can't go wrong. In fact, the Bible says, through good eating, combined with good studying and good instruction, they were 10 times better in all matters of wisdom and understanding. That means if you are Daniel's classmate, you would score 3 in a class, he scores 30. And I'm contextualizing the information. So that is 10 times. You know, you may have heard of the expression often, living to eat or eating to live. I don't know what you do. But we are all what we eat. That is true still. It's important to exercise your freedom when it comes to the plate. A moment on your lips, forever on your hips, they say. Those who like writing good songs, you can quote me and write that one may not be a good Christian song. A moment on your lips, forever on your. But you know, don't take that literally. It might refuse to get to the lips, to the hips. It might form a one pack before it descends to the hips. Some of you may want the hips, but it refuses. So control your appetite and taste buds to the glory of God, because what you don't control will control you. If you don't take captive of something, it will take you captive. You have heard of my brother who eats everything except stones and cactus. And he adds that even those three you would eat if you cook and salt them. Is it true still? God says that, and there are some animals, if they don't divide the hoof, they are unclean, and we shall not eat them, like rabbits, like crocodile, and what else? Camel, the hare, these are unclean. We should avoid camel steak and camel burgers because they're unclean. Another one is, Jesus says that the swine or the pig or the pork is unclean because it divides the hoof and it does not chew the cud. It is unclean. Amazingly, the devil has developed an appetite for pigs. People eat pigs. God says it's forbidden. God says don't eat. The devil says eat. We swallow the whole pig sometimes. One why you keep some pigs. I saw some pigs in your compound. I hope you don't wake up at night to eat. People today eat his flesh, his fat, the feet, pork, brain, pork, tail, pork. The only thing they can't eat about pork is pork sound. If they could eat it. But you know, friends, the pig is a scavenger, four-legged garbage can. The pig eats virtually everything. And anything. The pig is filthy outside and filthy inside. Pigs are known by doctors now for a long time to cause up to 200 diseases. They have worms that 18 different parasites and worms, including the trichina worm. Dr. McNaught found one in every 4 pork specimen. A quarter of all that specimen has living trichina, not dead. But you know, these kind of worms are very vicious. They can wake up when they realize they are in good temperature. Yeah, when you eat pork, bacon, and all those things, those worms come inside you. And Fox News reported that when they did this was a surgery of a woman's brain, they thought those stew might look like that on the microscope, but when they got it out, it was a worm, a trichina worm in the brain. You know, the news stated that that worm came from eating pork. Now you can tell why Daniel said, I want to be 10 times wiser, I want to avoid pork. But some of you say, now that is in the Old Testament. How about New Testament? Pig was cleansed. You had them reason like that? That's an odd conclusion, right? The fact that pig, you know, even if you are baptized, you can still get trichina, isn't it? Yeah, as long as you eat pig. And if you read in the Bible, you will see that one day Jesus made good food in a basket. I don't know why that sentence is there. I need to remove it. My things need to look good. I need to just make it look good. That will take me a minute. And I'm back to the slide without the thing. So one day Jesus made good food. You remember it was bread and something else. And then he said, once you've eaten, collect the remains. Nothing. He taught that food cannot be wasted. One day, Jesus again found another guy struggling with demon possession, and he sent the demons to the pigs. Don't make it swine as if swine is not pig. Pigs drown. I don't think Jesus would waste food, right? So pig is not food. So as we come to the plate, let our motto be something better. There are many other foods whose appetite today are large and is controlling, but they don't give you freedom. In fact, you end up an addict and you are bound by cravings. And those foods themselves don't even satisfy the cravings they cause. Now, one of the examples, the researchers Polychem reports, it says, fatty food have high addiction potential. Every sausage, every bite of pizza, every potato chip reprograms your cell to crave fat. The more you eat, the more the brain craves it. I thought you should know. People think it's a freedom plate, but no, friends, it's an addiction plate. They also found out that excessive consumption of sugar not only leads to a state of intoxication. You know intoxication? Intoxication is when you are poisoned. It also increases cravings like cocaine. This sweetener produces a veritable explosion in the reward center of the brain. When I come to the real jailbreak, I will share with you what goes on in the reward center, and you want to protect it by trying to reduce the sugar you take or take good sugars. We can talk about that later. Now, this was Alice Watson. They did a study with Oreos. Anybody knows Oreos? Oreos? Do you know Oreo? Or it's called Oreo 1, or this type of things. They found out that Oreos activated significantly more neurons than cocaine in the brain. They used chemistry actually to measure the expression of the protein called CFOs, a marker of neural activation. And they checked in the nucleus accumbens, the place that lights up when you post nonsense on Facebook and people like it. They found out that sugar also, it's called the pleasure center. It was activated significantly. In fact, they say our research supports the theory that high-fat, high-sugar food stimulates the brain the same way that drugs do. That's why it explains why people can't resist those foods despite them knowing that they are bad for them. Well, here's a brain scan of how the receptors respond to sugar for a regular person. That's on this side. And then the one that is red is an addict. The brain is just, it's inflamed, it's agitated, it wants sugar. So Daniel freedom was not only on the plate, but in that which he drank. You can read that down there. Yeah, he refused to take wine. Today, we have a total frenzy of what to drink. What shall we drink? We have a drinking nation. Even church people are drunk. Some are drunk seated in here. And I'm not mad at you. But people think that as long as you are 18, as soon as someone hits 18, they are free to drink everything. Free to drink alcohol. Well, friends, are we free to drink alcohol? Alcohol is the number one grand problem in our society. As a medical fact, that entered. Not as a matter of fact, that came through. As a medical fact, alcohol damages every cell in the body that it touches. And incidentally, the first place it goes to is the brain cell. CNN found it. They reported that any level, how many levels? Any level of consumption of alcohol damages your brain, and you can tell which part of the brain will be damaged more. The frontal lobe, where exists your character, your morality, your choice, your obedience, your ability to discriminate right from wrong, to navigate through problems. And that's why our world today has a reduced ability of navigating problems. Because the frontal lobe, the control center, is down, and it takes an average of up to 2 weeks for alcohol to be removed from the frontal lobe and for it to return to normal use. But some say, did Jesus turn water into wine? Have you heard that idiot response to such an important subject? We can tell which seminar they have not come to or which book they have not read. If you are going to come from this seminar you're not going to make that mistake again. Have you heard that question? But did Jesus make, doesn't the Bible say that wine is? You read that text? To answer those questions, we need to understand there are two types of wine in the Bible. There is fermented wine and the unfermented wine. And all of them in the Bible is called wine. They're just called wine because the word wine is wine. Wine. And I'm whining about wine. So let's start with the good wine. There is good wine. The Bible talks about it. Look at this from Isaiah 6:5. The Bible says, as a new wine is found where? In the cluster. That means in the fruit. And say, don't destroy it as a blessing. That must be unfermented wine. So a little study of Hebrew here for you. I got a software that can tell you when Jesus went to Cana, they wanted what? Wine. G3631. G3631 is a Hebrew word called oinos. Speak a little Hebrew today. Can you say oinos? Oinos means expelled or squeezed. You can see the word is different. G3631. Oinos. Oinos means what? Expelled or squeezed. That's the meaning of that one. Expelled or squeezed. So in the wedding at Cana, Jesus made them drink wine. And that word is oinos. So Jesus made them drink oinos. Just like love in Hebrew, when I love my wife, they say eros. When I love my brother, they say phileo. When God loves me, they say agape. But it's all love in English. So this kind of wine, do you think the communion wine, the one they used in the communion, Do you think it was? What do you think it was? Give me the Hebrew word for it. Oinos, that's true. Even the Last Supper, the Bible calls it the fruit of the wine. It's not alcoholic. In fact, it's called the new wine, the grape juice. That's what the deaconesses go and do. They squeeze it. They oinos it. Even the Young's Concordance clarify that wine is called, or the new wine in Isaiah is the juice of grace. And that's what Paul was telling Timothy. Use a little oinos. Can you read that like that? Yeah, use a little oinos for thy stomach's sake. So you can tell that it had benefits. Science has shown that those grapes have flavonoids which are powerful antioxidants. You can go and study that. In contrast, the Bible still uses the same word wine, and when you now look at it in Proverbs chapter 20 verse 1, the wise man says wine, H 31:36, which is not oinos but yahin, which means the Hebrew word yahin. Can you speak a little Hebrew today? Yahin means to effervescence or fermentation. Can you see that? And that is what Daniel said. No. Daniel proposed. He said, this is wine of Babylon. This is yahin. I can't take alcoholic wine. He refused to drink yahin. And you can see, if you want to be 10 times wiser like Daniel, you can't use the alcohol that you see out there. Bible says that person is not wise. The observation of the wise man in Proverbs 23, verse 30 all the way to 33, is that those who have war, those who have sorrows, contentions, babblings, that means senseless speech, like Babylon, speech, babbling, and Babylon are the same. Wounds without cause, he says, who has redness of eyes? And the answer is given, is that they that tarry long after which kind of wine? Yahin, they go after mixed wine. The warning is given in Proverbs 23:31. It says, look not upon wine when it is red, when it giveth its color, when it moveth. Anybody has looked at the effervescence process, there is a movement, and there is a negative energy that it gives to you. But this says, the wise man says, you will make error in relationship matters. And our relationship talk coming up in a little while. I think I need to mention that one is coming. But for you to make good judgment, you need to avoid the wine. You will see strange women and you will act up perverse things. It also says the last part is an accurate description of the depression and the feeling that when you feel sick and beaten with life, you are numbed in your ability to decipher your body's degradation, because the alcohol is now, the alcoholic has now become an addict and cannot function without the drink. Can you see the Bible talking about this guy? When shall he awake and seek it here again? That is addiction. And you thought it was freedom, and now you are held into some bondage of sorts. You are drinking, The thing is this, no one wakes up and says, you guys, you cigarette and be an addict. Nobody goes like that. No. Indeed, we start drinking socially a little bit when we get to campus, testing what we hadn't tasted, peer pressure or something of sorts. Some also begin with another drink called to just put up with the pressure, to beat the academic pressure, and it is a society's freedom to drink at break time coffee. But coffee, friends, has caffeine, and that caffeine is a serious drug that leads you finally to addiction. Some addictions begin from coffee, graduating. Caffeine is also found in tea leaves. Not with the green tea you find in supermarkets from other kind of, good, like we like making tea at home. We put some cardamom, and we put, what else? We put some things there. What? Cloves. Then we like lemongrass. That's good tea, isn't it? That's good tea. But caffeine, did you know, is also found in chocolates and those guys, energy drinks, and those fuzzy drinks, all the cola drinks, Pepsis, and all those things. Yet the problem is caffeine is highly addictive. If you don't think so, try drinking. You see it will refuse with headache. It overstimulates your nervous system. It contributes to ulcers. Have you wondered why everybody today has ulcers? The answer is in the drinks you take. It raises blood sugar, it irritates your kidney, contributes to cancer and many other things. Heart disease, bladder, neurological problems, and another new disease called caffeineism. You know, Dr. Harold Shirok said caffeine is the drug contained in coffee. That drug is classified in textbooks as both a stimulant and a poison. For example, it says if they extracted the caffeine in 1 cup and injected in your blood directly, you will die. You know, you don't die when you take it through a cup. Is the body sends a warning message to the nervous system that poison has come. So do everything. Raise energy to stop every other thing. Don't take that thing. Remove it from the system and you think it's energy. You're supposed to be dying. Right? The Bible says that if any man defiles the body, God will destroy him. 1 to 5 cups of coffee a day increases the risk of heart attack. Have you gotten worried about people just collapsing and dying? They also say just 250 milligrams, 2.5 cups, will cause decrease in brain blood flow. No wonder people are stupid today. You know, very online, there was a news question here. The first one, they say, are you wrecking your brain? Here are chilling pictures showing shocking effects of alcohol, cigarettes, and even caffeine on the mind. Here on the left is the normal brain pictured as calm, you know, and then on the right you will see a caffeinated, nicotinated brain. And that same observation has also been made by doctors. She tells of that story of an alcoholic brain. It's not tumor, but it reduces small in the skull. No wonder the guy cannot reason well around his responsibilities. Doctor's guy has an article entitled Morning's Boost. They say blood pressure, stress hormones throughout the day. That article says moderate caffeine consumption makes a person react like he's having a bad day. Yeah, or a stressful day. So if you combine the stress of coffee with normal stress, you are really stressed out. Now you tell why people today are so stressed out and they're running to things that are addictive. I hope, friends, you will consider to have some freedom through your drink. Then there's another drink that only humans have the freedom to consume in their adulthood. All animals drink milk only in their infancy. Researcher Ellie found detectable levels of morphine. In fact, those morphine are opiates. He says they are highly addictive. You know, now you're wondering, okay, what's wrong with that? The traces of morphine, they come from the liver and they end up in milk. That's what they say. Now, those opiates from the mother's milk have a reason why they have been put there. Some good hormones there. They have a calming effect. When a child suckles the mother's breast milk, they are calmed. And look here, something else. It is responsible for the mother-infant bond. But look here, milk will go ahead and have casein that breaks apart during digestion, and those hormones, they get concentrated, especially in cheese. Now you are like, okay, I think those hormones are good. No, look here, psychological bonds have a physical underpinning. So when the child drinks the milk acts like a drug, or the drug-like effect ensures that the baby bonds with the mother. Attachment, addicted to the mother. Why? So that the mother can continue nursing the baby. You understand? That is in nature. It's even in the Bible. There's one woman who decided, I'm not going to church, I am suckling the baby. And according to the Bible, breast milk is the best for children, and the Bible recommends that mothers protect, provide, and nourish for their children so that the child can be presented to the Lord. I'm saying that because women here are near giving birth. And when they do, please remember to stay at home, abide, and give your son sack. He sacks your gunia. They women have left their breast in the charge of my dress, my choice. in the streets and children at home are suffering. Scientifically, they found out that the breast milk has so many advantages. One, it is, in fact, mammal milk is species specific. Very good advantage. We don't care about that. We just crossbreed from another mammal, from another species, and we just drink and we think we will learn. But it's the best food for newborns. Science says it is balanced and adaptable. But the why is only 1 in 3 infants are breastfed. But you know the health advantages? Those who suckle well have a good brain. I should tell you my story. My sister, I'm the second last one, so my sister was born after me. I still remember suckling coming from school, like just standing. I wondered why people are reading in private school. And even high school, I wondered what people are reading. Like, you guys, why do you have to be just sit in class and listen and go write exams? One lady met me in campus and he thought, this guy is here. I knew he would be here. This guy was very bright. I just became an idiot when I met women later. But hey, love mess. That is usually what happened. But I became brighter when I married. The intelligence came back. When I went back to Sakli, when I got that from somebody wish I like that. What's the time? 56. Oh, we should be ending at 7. No, someone was 30 minutes is good enough. Studio. Yeah, after 30 minutes you're spoiling. Imagine. The truth is, it brings bonding and satisfaction. It produces good character. Another thing I found, men who suckle. Okay, let me say it well, because I heard of men who were struggling. The women were complaining that the fathers were finishing milk for their children. But I'm talking about children who breastfeed. Adjusted. Children who breastfeed, if they are boys, they learn responsibility. That is science. And women, if they are breastfed as children, when they grow up, they become homemakers. Now you understand why when someone is 40 years, you ask them, what are we? We are voters. Responsibility zero. Women can jump from their homes to everywhere to the street and they think men are dogs. Don't have money and they are in dog section. This week we want to call you to God section. Dog section. Yeah, in fact, it is good food. You don't need to warm it, you don't need a container, it's readily available, it's cheap. No, less diarrhea. In fact, people, I could go on and on about breast milk. You don't need to refrigerate. In fact, allergies increase when you deviate from breast milk. It even reduces allergies. Did you know that? Even infections for children goes low. Tooth decay, obesity. This is science I'm reading from. If you don't like science, let me read from Inspired One. They say children rarely. You should have freedom in knowledge, isn't it? From science, religion, and if you see a common thread in them, that is true. Yeah? Inspiration says children reared in a healthful way, which is breastfeeding, are much more easily controlled than those who are indulged in eating everything their appetite craves, and at all times, those children are cheerful, contented, and healthy. But let's go back to the bonding chemical in the milk, which is concentrated in the cheese. My problem is not even milk, my problem is the bonding chemical in the cheese. Going back to those opiates that are in milk and concentrated in cheese, some research such as say cheese holds other drug-like compounds as well. It contains amphetamine. That's a big chemical name. Or phenylethylamine. I'm going to talk about that another day when I'm going to tell you about sex addiction, the hormone that makes you look at a girl and think, who you need cute at a job healthy. You know that hormone? The one that makes you to fall in love. It's called phenylethylamine, PEA. Go study some of these things, right? It's also found in chocolate and sausage. That's why when a boy wants to shortcut your hair so that you think they look good, they buy you chocolate. And the monkey turns into a handsome guy. So cute. So cute. After 2 years, they found science said after 18 months, phenylethylamine goes down. You know, well, why those hormones, apart from they have problems, apart from constipation and slowing intestinal movement, the hormones cause a bonding with the food and makes you an addict and the places where those foods are made. That's why when you pass pizza in, your knees are smiting against each other. You can even go or call a jarazi to go and buy pizza. But Daniel, remember friend, you are not free to buy pizza. Pizza has made you an addict. When they tried eating that thing day one, it wasn't in the machine of Wibun. But Daniel said, I will not. He refused. Daniel exercised freedom on his plate to prevent defilement from the portion which he drinks. Let me read again as I come to the end, the closing words of inspiration. This is what God thinks about food and your freedom plate. He thinks like this: for persons who have inherited an appetite for stimulants, it is by no means safe to have what? Wine and what other thing is there? You know that thing? You pop kwa wedding. It's non-alcoholic. There's nothing non-alcoholic in those things. The only non-alcoholic wine is freshly squeezed, drunk the same within 24 hours. After that, it's something else. The problem is nobody educates us. The FDA has a caveat. They say up to 0.05% of wine is considered non-alcoholic. But God said, don't drink any wine as long as it is yahinized. So cider is those things. They call it non-alcoholic. They put many things on those things. You just drink, they drug you, they rape you. Me, I'm just helping you. They say, don't even put them in your house. For Satan, who is that? Satan is continually soliciting them to indulge. If they yield to his temptation of cider, they do not know where to stop. Appetite clamors for indulgence and is gratified into their ruin. The brain is clouded. Reason no longer holds their reign, but lays them on the neck of lust. Licentiousness abounds, and vices of almost every type are practiced as a result of indulging the appetite for what? It is impossible, she says, for one who loves these stimulants and accustoms himself to their use to do something, read, to grow in grace. To grow in grace. He becomes gross and sensual. The animal passions control the higher powers of the mind, and virtue is not cherished. So go to Facebook, go to the university street, and see that they have freedom on their plate. They eat everything, wine and cider and sugar. And soon you can tell why they don't have virtue, and that was prophesied. If our physical habits are not right, our mental and moral powers cannot be strong, for there is a great sympathy. There is a great connection, she says. Great sympathy between the physical and the moral. I ask you, friends, as you bend your physical muscles with your plate, use your freedom well. Use your freedom to build strong muscles. I want to let me finish the sentence. It says, habits which lower the standards of physical health and feeble the mental and moral health. Our habits of eating and drinking show whether we are of this world or among the number that the Lord, by his mighty clip of truth, has separated from the world. I came with practical application to this message. What shall we do to break any food addiction? You want to know that? Yeah. Is that important? If you forget everything, just wait and then the last slide, take a snapshot and go. Implement one after another. Number one is a good breakfast. When you cut down hunger, that's the first step of cutting cravings. It takes 90 days to break the taste of fat. So if you keep away from it for 90 days, you find that fat no longer impresses you. Start with good breakfast. Number two, choose foods that steady your blood sugar. That should be your beans, your green vegetables, your fruits, your whole grains. They prevent blood sugar dip, because when the blood sugar goes down, cravings go up. That's good? Yeah, that's why God says, I've given you every half-bearing seed in the which, that's a good test. You can do that. Even nuts are in this category. Fruits, grains, God call them sugar-steady food. What about how much do you eat? How much do you weigh? So you should eat 2.4 grams per kilogram per day. I have to pick it. Come on, 50 kilos, 2.4 times 50, 120 grams. If I would have 500 grams, no, I wake up late. Let's see the other side. Yeah, there are also people who eat very little because their body stopped making an appetite controlling hormone called leptin. You want to eat just enough, and they say when it comes to eating, stop eating when there's still just some hunger. Stop sleeping when there's still just some sleep. And stop talking when there's still just some points. Break out the cycle of craving, which can be daily or monthly. So if you are eating of every week on another month, so they say, leo Friday si daily, wakati na maji, wakati kwa leo na maji, then nobody will break food addiction if their body is not balanced in exercise and good rest. I usually have a specimen. I study her a lot. When she goes for work at night, when she's tired, she will eat some bad food. She will have a craving for some crisp, whatever, because of no rest. The other one is use social support. Yeah, the church here can say, Leo the vegetarian day. And then number 7, take advantage of other motivators. Like let's say, when I get to 4th year, if you can do 4th year and answer health reform, you know, I began mine in 2nd year. Up to today, I thank God. But you know, you want to do your own. Prove for yourself. 10 days. Put God on the test with your plate. You will see everything changes. I have studied addiction. I am producing a big book on addiction. I am serious, I am waiting for hands. I am waiting for your hands. Don't put up your hand because you feel pressured. If you're not addicted, just put it down. If you have an addiction, please, let's pray that God will help you to implement even one of these strategies. Let's pray, just put down your hands. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your goodness, thank you for your word this day. You just came to our place to
give us freedom to be healthy. I ask God for discretion when food is presented before us, that this text will come alive in our life again, like Daniel, to make a purpose, not to defile ourselves with the food or the drink. Yet it is you who can help us do all things, and you strengthen us to will and to do of your good pleasure. We pray that this message will not be stuck in the church hall, but will walk into the dining rooms, will come to the kitchens, will come to the counters when we order food, that will hear your voice saying, this is the food that we should eat. Bless us with good health as we make this choice, with the wisdom and with the long life. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Today, I think we can, let's see, I'll be told, because I'm surprised here.
This evening is that as you make choices for life, you choose to live for Jesus, because He has a bright future for all of us. And many times we are struggling with our own power to get rid of addictions. But the song says His power can make us what we ought to be. His power is the only way that can set us free from addictions. And those of us who are feeling defiled by different habits, His blood can actually cleanse and make us free. So enjoy this song, and if you know it, please join us as we sing it.
In providential days, would you in His service labor